Hello and welcome to another episode of Dubai Works Business Podcast. This week, I'm joined by Sudhir Syal. He is the CEO of the Middle East and head of global trading of BookMyShow Middle East. They are a leading online entertainment destination. The company actually started out as pure online ticketing platform for movies into end-to-end management agency. They moved into an end-to-end management agency of live entertainment events including music concerts, live performance, theatricals, sports, and much more. Sudhir has previously led Book My Show Indonesia as its CEO and came to this region in 2019. Today, we will discuss the impact of COVID 19 on live events and also from how the company pivoted from tickets to entire show management and production. Also future trends and events in the entertainment industry. Good morning, Sudhir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. Where is here? Where are you located right now?
I'm in Dubai. I'm in on Sheikh Zayed, the Coca-Cola Arena and the World Trade Center, actually. So,
Oh,
close to
interesting. Sorry, close to?
venues we work with.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Is that where your office is? You're not at home at the moment.
No, no. We've been working actually from offices from June, actually. So we were aggressive with coming back to office and
Yeah.
getting everyone.
Let's talk about that. But just you mentioned the Coca-Cola Arena and the World Trade Center. They are, as you mentioned, kind of offices because you have many events there. How do you see those facilities compared with, say, Indonesia or other parts? Are they world-class events venues?
The Coca-Cola Arena is actually the Middle East's first um, and houses 17,000 people with the ability to put the stage in the center.
Hmm.
It can have 17,000 people, and the arena has seen maybe about 25 to 30 shows last year, and it's actually been a success.
Yeah.
They've done a good job. It's managed by ASM Global, which manage multiple arenas across the globe.
Okay.
So it's quite a success. It's quite a successful. It's been a welcome addition to the live events landscape of the Middle East.
In terms of the state of the art architecture or the size, the capacity.
Numerous things, right? So it's firstly it's the ability to have content and have live events all the year around, as opposed to missing the summer.
Hmm.
Uh, the ability to have truly amazing sound, light, and shows inside an arena like atmosphere. And also it reduces complexity significantly for promoters and organizers.
Yeah, interesting. And then the World Trade Center, I think everyone will have attended many different events there, from trade events to entertainment shows and things like that. Of course, it's a wonderful facility. Do you run events there as well?
Yes, so in fact we've just announced our first event there, which is Veer Das, which is the Indian comedian, as part of the Dubai Comedy Festival.
Oh, okay. And
Yes, and
when's that taking place?
so that's taking place on the 22nd of October.
Ah,
So 2
soon.
weeks.
Okay,
Yes,
amazing.
good time to go to Book My Show and get your tickets.
There we go. Nice little segue. But you
Yeah.
mentioned the company who runs the Coca-Cola Arena. So where does Book My Show come in? And just describe an overview of the business industry of events. Like how many different types of companies they are, and what's your role?
Sure. Um, Book My Show actually started in around the year 1999 as a really a B2B cinema ticketing company. It then evolved after building the B2B side of the cinema ticketing. It moved to becoming a B2C cinema ticketing company.
Okay, so first of
And
all, the cinemas would manage their inventory and their tickets, just like a restaurant might manage their covers. And then once you had them signed up as partners or providers, then you had inventory to sell.
yes. So the cinemas needed a software to manage their own inventory internally for
Yeah.
people coming into the cinema and buying tickets and so on, right? So we partnered with a company from New Zealand actually and provided that software. Right, that was step one. Once we had access to all the cinema's inventory, it was then going ahead and creating a consumer platform where you aggregate all these cinemas together, aggregate all the inventory together, and then consumers can buy cinema tickets off the platform.
Okay. And is
Right,
that
that was
yeah? And is that how
that.
most booking engines work with cinemas? Were you just kind of building a version of that?
So back then, yes. So I mean, really, when you look at any booking engine, it's a question of getting the inventory together and then getting the consumers together. Right. So once we had the inventory, the uh, think of it like an Expedia or like a hotels.com, right? Once you have the inventory, then it's a question of how do you use digital marketing, how do you use email marketing, how do you use CRM, how do you use uh, display marketing, how do you use print, radio, how do you use all these demand drivers to bring audiences in, right? How do you use analytics to retarget consumers who are interested in certain type of content, right? So, for instance, we might say that, hey, Richard is a fan of Western classical films, and then guess what? If he's a fan of Western classical films, he's likely interested in Western classical music, right? So then we retarget Richard for Western classical musical content. So that's how the company evolved. Today, the scale of BookMyShow pre-COVID in India is immense. We were selling almost 15 million tickets a month as of January this year.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So in India, we sell almost um, 40% of all cinema tickets online are sold on BookMyShow, and
It's a
almost
huge
30
market share. Yeah.
almost 30% of all cinema tickets itself. Right? So it's quite a huge market share,
Yeah.
no doubt. Right? Um, and then around 4 years ago, we transitioned into live events. And when we transitioned to live events, the first step was to
Live events in terms of you transition to selling tickets for them, or actually organizing them and putting them on?
I'll just come to that. So we started by transition by selling tickets only for live events, right? And we began with a host of shows, including Beauty and the Beast and Ed Sheeran and so on and so forth back in India. And then we transitioned into promoting these shows altogether.
Yeah.
Right. And the part of the reason was that there just weren't enough good promoters around, and there wasn't enough content. So we said, hey, why don't we take up that responsibility and bring the best content?
Okay.
Right. And then what we noticed and what we saw was that when we started doing this, not only in India, but then also in Indonesia, also in the Middle East, we noticed that it makes sense to have a full stack business where you're promoting shows, you're bringing out the best content, and you're also ticketing at the same time, right?
Okay.
And you're also often working with other co-promoters and bringing out this content.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the shows we've been involved with, it's Mamma Mia in Indonesia. We've been involved with. We were the first company to bring Cirque to India.
Okay.
Right. In the IPL, we managed ticketing for numerous teams within the IPL.
Okay.
Right. Last year at the Coca-Cola Arena, we were we promoted 5 shows, including Westlife and Boys to Men and the 1975 and Rahat Fateh Ali Khan. So it was content across different demographics.
Okay. Interesting. So when you're doing the promotion, is that the events company or the performer would have marketing or promoter, and you would be their promoter, and then you would also sell it on your platform?
That's true. So we would contract with the artist.
Yeah.
Make sure that all the artist requirements are met. Right.
And would you book the artist for the venue? Would you organize that part?
Yes. So you book the artist actually for yourself, and then you book the venue separately for the show.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, depending on many factors that you think is the right venue, the demand, all that sort of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Right. So the size is really interesting in India. can you just explain that the difference between the market share in India and say the UAE where we are now, in the context of competition and also obviously the size of the market? There's a lot more people in India.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, obviously, the UAE is a by population is a smaller market, but if you look at the live events industry, UAE is actually a reasonably large market, right?
Yeah.
So we finished our first year with over $5 million in ticket sales, right? Which was a exceptionally fast start,
Yeah.
right? Um, the Indian market is much bigger, as you'd imagine, especially when it comes to cinema ticketing,
Yeah.
right? If you look at the differences between live events in India and live events in the UAE, um, live events in the UAE, the average ticket price is higher. So the average ticket price in the UAE market is about $60 a ticket, or 240, 250 dirhams a ticket. Whereas in the Indian market, it's probably 1,500 rupees a ticket, right? Which is about 70 dirhams. So it's almost one fourth the size.
Okay. It's not
Right?
for that's not for cinema, obviously. That's for kind of live shows. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there is a difference. The second piece is that if you look at the Middle East market, the Middle East is right in the center of the globe, and hence falls in the center of global touring for multiple artists and multiple shows,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Which is not the case for India and for Southeast Asia, which are two separate disparate markets,
Okay. Yeah, definitely
right?
different in market size. Yeah, and a few other things.
Yes, yes. So it is different from that perspective.
And just in terms of a competition, like obviously, I think you described of getting the inventory and the tickets, and also having the users and the demand and the supply side. But to do that well in your first year, it's also the product works, the checkout, the payment gateways, the experience, the all the many things that I don't know, the QR codes, the fulfillment, like all those things. Your product obviously worked in a bigger market, so when it entered a new market, were there many things that you had to change to adjust to a new market?
Sure. So I think one of the big changes here in the UAE is that uh, uh, while setting up the ticketing has to be linked up to the DTCM central ticketing architecture, right? Which is not the case in other markets, right? So the government plays a very active role, which is great here, and the government is also a big supporter when it comes to live events here in this market, and have really put out their best foot forward to support the market and support the industry during this tough time. So from a technology perspective, that's been one big difference.
Yeah.
The second the second difference is that when you look at mobile, for instance, in India tends to be an Android first market, whereas the Middle East and the UAE is a really an Apple first market. So we've had to course correct and change things accordingly,
Okay.
right?
From is
And,
that from an
and
app experience or even just mobile in general?
app experience,
Okay.
right? And also, um, what we've noticed in India, a lot of people using the internet in India are mobile first. They get onto the internet for the first time on a mobile phone. The mobile phone is sometimes their only access to internet.
Okay.
Yeah, but here it's not the case, right? Here people are equally comfortable with desktop and mobile. So it's these insights and influences that have helped us understand what works best, and course correct along the way.
And refine your product. And yeah, so basically the Book My Show, although you went from cinema to live events, you're still really a promoter, a booking engine. Am I correct in saying that Live Nation are a global one like this, and then a local kind of smaller one would be something like Platinum List? Are they on different sides of the competition scale for Book My Show?
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. I think Live Nation and Ticketmaster together sum up what we do. Live Nation promotes shows,
Okay.
Ticketmaster Um, Book My Show also tickets and then also promote shows, but we are ticketing first,
Yeah.
right? Platinum list only tickets, right? Platinum list has been around in this market longer than we have, so they've been around for almost 6 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
we soon we are also launching cinema ticketing on our platform, but we're also going to be launching attractions on the platform so that you have access to all the attractions in the UAE.
Things like water parks and amusement parks, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
So these are not only that, water sports, adventure, so all of these things. Also, staycations, which have become quite popular during the pandemic.
Okay. So it's a full kind of lifestyle offering.
Yes, yes. So that's that. Those will be coming up soon on the platform.
Yeah, and the platform, when someone has their own ticketing engine, they can either white label yours and use it on their website, or they can have you as well as theirs to get incremental bookings.
Yes. So hypothetically, just to take you through our products, right? Let's assume let's assume you as a promoter are working on a certain show. Let's take the example of one of our partners, which is the QE2.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the QE2 has a venue and good friends of ours. Now,
I think
if Q
they're just restarting some events very soon now, or have they already started?
they're just restarting.
Yeah,
Yeah. If QE2 wants to sell tickets, right? Um, QE2 can sell tickets on their own website, and that's something we can help power for them, right?
yeah,
Or QE2 can also sell tickets on third-party websites like ours.
yeah.
Yeah. So these are the and we are building a venue ticketing platform called Big Tix, which is being built out of Singapore, which can work with venues and power the entire ticketing experience.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
that's
So
more of a SaaS product where they just pay for the software and they run it themselves.
absolutely, yeah, and that's white label. So and that is at a that could be at a the fee could be at a per year level or at a per ticket level depending on how the deal is structured.
Interesting. And you kind of mentioned QE2 and a few other things that you've been doing lately that were popular during the pandemic. How was Book My Show? If we go back to the start in March, you must have had a lot of events that couldn't happen. How did you, Sudhir, as a CEO of this region, how did you respond to that? And what are the kind of steps that you took?
Sure, sure. No, it's certainly not been easy for the industry as a whole, right? I was actually in London at the ILMC conference, and I came back came back at that point of time when all of this was happening,
Mm.
right? Um, so what transpired after was immediately we there were numerous shows of ours which had to be cancelled, right, and rescheduled, and some of those are still waiting for them to be rescheduled, like the Raja concert, for instance, in Sharjah,
Mm.
right? We proceeded with all refunds as we had to, right? Um, we then transitioned quite quickly into virtual events.
Okay.
So we launched a series called Ha Ha Habibi, which was the first series for comedy, virtual event comedy in Dubai,
Yeah.
right? Um, then we also launched another large series called Live from HQ, which had a combination of music and comedy and theater, right, with our partners Junction, um, which was again all done virtually, right?
Okay.
Then we had other comedy shows virtually. After that, we had music shows. We also had um, our first show by a mentalist named Wayne Hoffman, which was virtual.
Okay. And in
Oh,
terms of the virtual shows, is it live streaming? Is it ticketed? What sort of technology are you using? And did it generate revenue, or were these free events?
so we initially started with a few free events, but then we moved after to paid events and ticketed events.
Okay. So
Right, right.
you would have hosted the streaming and the performance and the ticket. It would all live on the Book My Show platform.
Yes, yes, yes. These were all ticketed. These were on the ticketed on the BookMyShow platform, and then using virtual platforms like Zoom and so on and so forth to have the interaction. We've also built our own virtual platform to have interactions, right? Which
Okay.
has also been taken out externally. What we've also noticed, we've tied up with partners, is that exhibitions are also going virtual,
Yeah.
right? So it's a great opportunity for exhibitions to go virtual, um, where you can have an entire exhibition experience. Not only do you have an exhibition experience, but then you also have the opportunity for brands to play a part there,
Mm.
right? So you have the opportunity of you have the experience of walking into an exhibition, stopping, experiencing brands, experiencing booths, much like you would do in a real world exhibition,
Okay. And
right? And then after, by June, July, live events restarted. So we started with comedy, we started with theater. We've One of our venues, which is the Junction, has probably had maybe 25 shows post market reopening, right?
okay.
We've also we ticketed Jimmy Carr, which was a comedy show with in August with the market reopening. There were actually three sold out shows.
Yeah.
We also um, uh, began our ticketing. We're soon going to be ticketing shows at the Dubai Opera, and there's an event that's going to be happening there. So, plus also we've been working hard on getting our cinema piece going, and soon we're going to be launching ticketing with two cinemas, right?
Okay.
Plus the Dubai Comedy Festival, and we were happy to announce last week our first 1400 capacity show, which is Veer Das, which has already been selling quite well.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that there's a lot of pent up demand in the market. People want to come out. There's a sort of a COVID fatigue.
Yeah.
People want to come out and experience live events and experience the world. People realize that they can't be locked up and cocooned all through.
Do you think so? It's really interesting and well done for kind of navigating the last few months, especially in the events industry. But it's interesting, sort of maybe the lower capacity events are what we're having, especially kind of towards the end of this year for now. Are you seeing that the combination of those tickets plus less events than typically would have taken place at this time of the year, and the combination of experimenting with virtual conferences and events? Do you think that that's your new business offering now?
So we feel that the new business offering right now is a combination of a few things. One is, yes, you're right, smaller events, right? And those events being more frequent,
Yeah.
right? Um, Virtual events to some extent, right? Cinemas, attractions, right? But we also see new product, new verticals like merchandise
Hmm.
playing an active role, right?
Okay.
And soon they will soon we have a platform in India called Fanhood
Yeah.
for merchandise, right? And soon you'll be hearing more about what we're looking to in that category in this market.
Interesting. Maybe we'll have you back on to talk about that because it sounds like another exciting offering. I want to talk about two things we've already touched on. One is sort of the Live Nation and I know Saudi invested into them, the PIF, and but at the moment they're letting people go. It's a difficult roadmap. Have you had to kind of cut back on staff and investments as Book My Show? Have you been infected in the same way that they have?
No, absolutely, we have. We've had to downsize our team as well. We've had to we initially had to follow people. We had to let people go. We've had to take some uh, reduce and cut salaries costs across various people. And it's been tough, no doubt. However, with the market showing signs of bouncing back,
Yeah,
with these things happening,
it's more positive.
um, and yes, and with newer business lines, we are reorienting, re-architecturing the team, and putting people into different into different verticals and different teams to bring everyone back in a cohesive manner.
Interesting. And then, secondly, another COVID-related question in terms of cinemas. In some markets, we're hearing of a lot of closures, and not just at the cinema facility, the venue, but Hollywood is having trouble in terms of, uh, you know, they released one big movie in the summer. I think it was Tenet, and then they've decided to uh, postpone some of the big releases for the second time. James Bond isn't going to happen now. How do you kind of view that? How do you see that recovery, and where do you see the opportunities?
No, it is tough. It is tough. The um, I feel that some of this starting and stopping of content um, will continue to happen likely this year,
Mm.
and next year things will settle down. However, for big banner films like Tenet,
Mm.
right, or other uh, uh, big banner films like James Bond, does it make sense for them financially, commercially to release on OTT? Right? Probably not. So hence, cinema as a medium will continue, right? So you might see some films, go the OTT way, but there's no denying that the experience, the larger chunk of revenues, the larger chunk of monies are all fundamentally within the cinema, the large exhibition space,
Yeah,
right? So it will have to come back from that perspective,
yeah,
right? I mean, there is more that we are looking at within it. It is at this point there are opportunities in the OTT space as well for a company like us, right?
in what
Uh,
way?
they are. So for instance, if you look at the existing OTT market, if you're looking at SWOD, which is Netflix, right? If you're looking at AWOD, which is YouTube,
So
right?
subscription video on demand and advertising video on demand. Yeah.
Yes, yes. The and if you're looking um, at films which are on a transaction video on demand space, right? So there are opportunities in the market
Mm.
um, for transaction video on demand for people to watch films and pay only for that film,
That's a good
right?
point.
So
Yeah.
there are opportunities there in the market. I won't speak more about what we are planning or not planning, but um, as a ma- as a company, it makes sense for us to be nimble in terms of evaluating various opportunities,
Yeah.
right? But let me tell you, at this point, the market has not chosen one way or the other
Yeah.
in terms of whether theaters will continue or theaters will not continue,
Okay.
right? Also, I myself visited theaters. I was at a few theaters over the last month or so, and people are still turning up.
Yeah. And it's the same thing as, it's great to see airlines coming back. And obviously, the path will take a while. This isn't happening back to normal overnight. But I think one of the things about cinemas, especially in Dubai, is they're quite spacious anyway. Some of the screens have quite big, kind of 2 meters distancing. Maybe that's a little bit much. But I think, and we've seen with one of the events that you were involved with, the Jimmy Carr event in the World Trade Center, that there was a gap between each individual and each seat. So, from that point of view, it's possible to attend a movie theater, in a safe way, right?
Yeah, let me explain a little further, right? So there is something here um, called COVID seating, right, which has been set up, right? So and what we do with COVID seating is pre-select groups of 2 seats, 3 seats, or 4 seats inside a venue, right? And leave gaps between these seat selections, right? So, which means that according to the guidelines, you need to have a minimum of 4 square meters between you and the next person who
Yeah.
who's not from your group, right? So, this sort of seat orientation and architecture enables this,
Mm.
right? And you will find that with this architecture and orientation, it's actually a good experience to go to a live event, wear your mask, enjoy yourself, have have some food, go with your friends, and have a good time.
Yeah, interesting. What about continue on cinema? I want to talk about the IPL as well, but for cinema for a second and this region, in Saudi, for example, there's only a few theaters open in the last kind of 2 years or so, and there's a lot more coming. Uh, the timing would seem to be good over there in terms of they definitely don't need to close any theaters. Is that a market that you've entered, or are you going to enter? In the cinema space?
Yes, yes, we just entered there pre-COVID, right? We've set up,
Yeah,
and we will be
we've just lost Sudhir. I think we're going to get him back. Yeah, we just lost you for a second. Go again.
yeah, and as soon as the market bounces back, right? As soon as we can go there, we'll be back and we'll be integrating with cinemas and we'll be approaching that market again.
Okay, and in that level, the cinema owners over there are the groups like Box and AMC. Do you partner with them all, and then do you sell tickets for all the movies, or how does it work? Or are there exclusivities and things like that?
So that's the way it would work. Yeah,
Okay.
you partner with all of them, aggregate inventory, and then sell tickets to all of them. The funny thing about the Saudi market is that there's been so much pent up demand for so many years there that now cinema ticket sales are almost at 70-80% occupancy.
Yeah. Before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
that's great. And what would the typical number be in UAE? The the
The
occupancy.
occupancy varies. I think for um, during weekdays is around 20%, and during weekends could be 40% basis the film.
It depends on the film and the time of the year and things like that.
Yes, yes,
Interesting.
but which is not dissimilar to other markets.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. IPL. You mentioned that you sell tickets sometimes for some of the teams in India, in the UAE, and on Love in Dubai. We've been overwhelmed by all the stories and all the excitement around the games here at the moment, as it's currently taking place in the UAE. Obviously, the venues, apart from some famous Bollywood actors, it doesn't have any attendance. How's your experience been with sports and IPL in the past, and what's your current view on the event?
I think the event has been quite a success from a television standpoint and from a sponsor standpoint, right?
Okay.
And actually to watch it as a consumer, as a viewer, has been a good experience,
Okay.
right? And with the artificial sound and so on, as much as hard as I was late a few times.
Really? Yeah.
The but overall, it's definitely a it's been a success by the BCCI. There are some rumors that they might have uh, fans and crowds for the last two matches for the eliminator and for the semis and finals, but it's not yet been confirmed.
Like
Right,
a percentage, maybe 20% or okay.
30 or 50% is what
Okay.
they've been planning.
Oh,
Right?
interesting. Wow.
Yeah, the and hats off for the UAE to bring everything together in a short period of time.
Hmm.
In India, we've been managing both ticketing and on ground for numerous teams,
Yeah.
right? So it's both exciting and challenging at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting. Is it different?
yeah.
Is sport different to live events for performing music or cinema?
So in Indonesia, for instance, we also work with football teams,
Yeah.
right? So it is different because of the sheer volume and sheer size and sheer numbers, right?
Okay.
For a
And
cricket match,
frequency maybe as well.
yes, a cricket match of football, we're talking about 30-40,000 people
Mm.
per match,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Which is a high number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hence in a season of say 15-20 matches, you're talking about almost 800,000 people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
number.
So yeah, those are big numbers, right? And there, it's uh, and sports, because they're such large audiences, large fan bases, also tends to sell themselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I mean, I know which football team you support, but you know,
Uh,
these.
I support Blackburn Rovers. They're in the championship. They were good when I was 10 or 12, but not anymore. But I'm learning about
Yeah,
the IPL. We've had a couple of interviews with, are we lining them up with some players from Rajasthan Royals and things like that. And it's quite exciting to kind of see the supporters. It's massive on social media.
yeah, it is. And it's been a good start. My team lost, unfortunately, yesterday,
Ah,
which is Chennai. Yeah, but it's good to see. I think India needed it because India has sort of unfortunately been quite badly impacted by COVID.
yeah.
So India needed what has happened, and it's good to see that things are coming back.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to see. But yeah, as you said, I think it's refreshing to hear that your view that it's positive for the streaming, for the noise and the quality, because they're very critical in the Premier League in football about the noise, and they're also critical about the empty stadiums, and they're blaming it for goal rushes and things like that. I thought people wanted to see goal rushes, but yeah, obviously live events is all about people, and I think. At the very start of this, we spoke with the CEO of Flash Entertainment, and it just where we are now. A few months ago, didn't seem possible. A hybrid between no events and 80,000 people or 50,000 people in the venue didn't seem possible. But as you've mentioned, we seem to be getting there now. Whether it's a half capacity at a cricket match, or whether it's cinema, or whether it's a comedy thing, people seem to be okay. There isn't a vaccine, but if I trust that the venue is putting something on, then I'm happy to kind of pay the same price of a ticket. I'm not asking for a discount, and I'm happy to go to the event.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what we're noticing.
Okay, interesting.
And
Okay, yeah,
the truth is that there's that going out, experiencing life, this is a fundamental human need,
hmm.
right? And there's so much pent up demand that people need to come out. People need to experience this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're just going to be locked down the entire time, it's not really going to. Um, uh, Consumers are going to have cabin fever at some point,
Yeah,
right? They're going to feel claustrophobic. It will lead to a lot of social and mental health issues.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're social creatures. We need to meet people, and not just all these
Absolutely.
Zoom calls. But yeah,
Right.
Sudhir, we'll talk about the region and the economy in a second, but just about obviously you're doing both technology and real time events, but I've been on a couple of conferences on platforms like Hopin, and there seems to be a real sort of now moment, like there was for Zoom. There seems to be a real now moment for pure technology plays and events. Did you ever for a second think to pivot, completely to technology?
Um, it's it's a different business because that's fundamentally a B2B business, right? We are a business to consumer franchise business, consumer setup, right? So we we dabbled with the idea, but we decided against it. Right?
Okay.
We didn't want to make that transition because we also realized we understand where our core competency and our core strength is,
Yeah.
right? And also um, also the um, we realized that it's this bringing together of consumers, content, technology, which is where our strength is.
Yeah.
If we were to just change horses midstream, there are a host of other issues and challenges we might face.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we have done though is focused on technologies like COVID seating, technologies like contactless ticketing,
Okay.
wherein you just scan a barcode and you get a ticket at a venue, right? We focused on our DIY ticketing platform, Townscript, which is great for hotels and events and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
right? Where you can build events on the fly on your own, right? And and obviously on virtual events and virtual content.
Yeah.
The B2B side is something that it's already a crowded space, not a space that we necessarily play.
Okay, that's good to know. And yeah, I think it gave you a chance, and everyone a chance to kind of survey the market and look. And obviously, you know your strengths, and you've added to different pieces, whether it's technology or other. Um, Finally, just talk about the region and how you see it. You know, you came from a high growth emerging market, Indonesia, India. You know, India was always included in, say, the BRIC nations of potential emerging markets for the last 20 years. And it seems to be, you know, irrespective of COVID, even with technology now really emerging kind of after China. What's your view, living in Dubai, of the Middle East? Do you see the same signs? And if you were, you know, if you were to predict the future, how do you see things panning out over the next 10 years in terms of economy and the GDP of the countries in the region?
Sure. So um, I feel that the UAE is recovered actually quite well. I think the fact that the Dubai has kept the economy open, and UAE has kept the economy open, has been good. And I think that while they have been uh, while there have been job losses and so on, broadly the sentiment is better here than many other places, right? Um, Saudi, Bahrain, Oman, we are noticing that um, that uh, Saudi has been locked down for a little longer period of time, but again now over the last few months there seems to be a big push to open up,
Yeah.
right? Which is good, right? And we've also been talking to our partners and colleagues in Bahrain as well, which have also been um, uh, uh, talking about how the economy is opening up there, right? So I feel that from a GDP, from a per capita income standpoint, yes, this year there will be a correction, and we will see um, GDP coming down across multiple markets. But uh, I feel next year onwards, people have found a new way of dealing with this pandemic and finding a way to make things work. I think the worst is almost over.
Great. That's good to hear. Very good to hear. It's interesting to kind of keep track of the event space because I think everyone is interested, not just from a business point of view, but from a social and mental health well-being point of view. Sudhir, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to hear more about Book My Show and all the things you've got going on. And I look forward to keeping in touch in the future.
Thank you so much, Richard. Absolute pleasure being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.